Now, following yesterday's discussion here on NewsNight about the Umeme contract with government, we've received a lot of feedback, and we thought it was only pertinent for us to actually continue this debate and probably poke some holes in the contract, or even Andrew help us cover or seal those holes. However, we need to also know that yesterday, just as we were discussing the same debate over the Umeme contract, the cabinet met, chaired by the president, and of course on the table was the same contract that was being discussed, and cabinet agreed to form a 5-man committee or subcommittee headed by the Attorney General, Peter Nyombi, a couple of more lawyers on the same committee who include the local government minister, adhoc Mwesige. Another lawyer there is Mwesige Rukutana, and also John Biabagambi and Frank Tumwebas, who are members of this subcommittee that also has the Energy Minister, Irene Muloni. Now, today we will continue to look at the contract and why we think, or why Andrew thinks it was a good deal, and why we continue to critique this same contract. That's on NewsNight. Welcome, Andrew Mwenda, researcher, journalist, the old man of the clan, and also a fellow of the Stanford University. Andrew was a fellow at the Stanford University. Andrew, you raised a storm on social media yesterday with your defense of the Umeme contract. Many calling you... I was not defending the Umeme contract.
Yes.
My job is always to defend the truth as I see it.
Fantastic. Many calling you, by the way, mercenary for Umeme and for those that actually did support and sign this contract. A lot of things have actually developed along the way. You have also seen some statistics in the last 24 hours, and both of us have actually been trying to get feedback on this same contract. However, we know cabinet yesterday sat, and in that cabinet meeting, it was agreed that the subcommittee is formed to review and look into the contract and discover where the loopholes are and what needs to be done. However, you say, in your own view, that Umeme has actually met its side of the bargain. In 2004...
I should tell you,
yes.
First of all, a contract.
Yes.
If you subject it to the popular will of the people of Uganda here, and we do not understand the many issues that go into negotiating an international contract, you can never get your way. That is how we stopped. I, Andrew Mwenda, together with Isaac Musumba, Aston Kajara, and many others in the 6th Parliament, joined forces and we blocked AES from building a dam. Do you understand me? Because there were contract in the power purchase agreement between the government of Uganda and AES Corporation at that time, there were provisions on our side we felt were very unfair. For example, there was a provision saying that government of Uganda there was a hydraulic clause guaranteeing the levels of the lake. If the water levels in the lake went down, government of Uganda would pay for the full electricity that this company installed in its capacity. That is one. Two, there were environmental concerns. We had very many legitimate points.
Let's return to
I'm coming to it.
Yes.
But we forgot that there was the other side of the coin. Yes. Me, I am not a technician on the contract. But looking at the facts, finally I went back to my notes,
yes,
which I have taken.
That's what I wanted to discuss.
Let me tell you this.
Yes.
Under that contract,
yes,
the government of Uganda and Umeme agreed that Umeme should reduce electricity losses from 38% to 28%.
Yes.
It turns out that when Umeme took over this network, it found power losses actually at 40%, commercial and technical.
Yes.
It has reduced them now to 24.6%. That is, against a target of 28%, they are now 24.6% as we speak right now. In fact, the last month of October, it was 22%. Two, under that, government of Uganda required Umeme to increase collections to 95.6%. That's what the contract says. Today, the collection rate of Umeme, of the money that is whatever on electricity, is 97%. So they're overperforming the contract. Three, government of Uganda required Umeme from March 2005 to February 2012 to have connected 60,000 new users. Umeme, within that period, connected 220,000. So I ask you this, Maurice, if you are trying to review this contract, what is it that these MPs and others are saying that Umeme has failed to honor?
Before they begin making this, you see, I want somebody to respond to these facts and say, Umeme was required to reduce losses. It has not. Let me tell you, by the way, another thing. These Ugandans who speak about Umeme, there are 3 people in the value chain of electricity. Electricity generators, electricity transmitter, and the distributor.
Yes.
The distributor called Umeme takes 15% of the price. So for every 1,000 shillings, Umeme takes only 150. They are complaining Umeme and prices of electricity. Umeme takes 15%. 85% of the value of the electricity you pay at your home goes to transmission and generation.
Let's look at what the MPs are saying in this report. They say the biggest problem they have and why they're calling for determination is, one, the lopsided agreement, the exaggerated losses, and exaggerated investment. Yesterday you said, and actually you've mentioned, they've invested 128 million to date.
Yes,
I can. The MPs actually think that figure is exaggerated.
But you see, what is the basis of the MP thinking that way? PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is one of the world's leading audit firms, has audited a company called Umeme. It has issued a report. Umeme has gone on the stock market of Kenya and of Uganda, the Uganda Stock Exchange and Kenya Stock Exchange.
Umeme cross-listing and actually also listing on our stock exchange was muzzling the people, the locals, and trying to make them understand and feel that they were now involved in the contract.
The essence of going on a stock exchange is to say, I can open my books for anybody to see because I'm transparent. When you're launching an IPO, you must open your books.
Many think it was a cover-up for a horrible and horrendous contract signed between government and Umeme.
Do you see why they're saying it's a cover-up? Because, Maurice, they are completely ignorant. Let me ask you, Maurice, go to any company and ask them to go and list. The first thing to do about listing is to have transparency.
Yes.
You must have your books of account properly audited and seen, and that you've been making profits for a minimum of about 3 years, the previous years. Then you're allowed to go to the stock exchange. 2, all your books of account have to be open, because now you're a publicly listed company. If you, Maurice, can walk into Umeme and say, give me your audited accounts, because I'm a shareholder, you will get these accounts. Any company that goes into the stock exchange is a sign that it is transparent. So these MPs, what they are telling you, Maurice, you clearly see they're ignorant.
Let's discuss transparency. You just spoke about transparency, and for anyone to list, you actually have to be transparent, and I want you to return to that. Many have not seen this contract. Not actually, this is a public secret contract, because government has never publicly provided the contract between Umeme and government. And this,
Andrew Mwenda, and all those MPs combined, we have very limited capacity to interpret this contract. If we could, government of Uganda can hire IMF.
You really undermine the capacity of Uganda.
Because you see, I have been to Yale University, I've been to Oxford University, I've been to the London School of Economics, I've been to Stanford, but I can tell you I'm one of the most educated and well-read Ugandans. I cannot say that I can read every contract. I don't know everything.
You have looked at the contract. No, you've been fortunate among us, very few who have seen this contract.
Yes, but I can tell you
that has never been made public.
If you called a person from PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ernst & Young, or a very serious organization, IMF, who is an expert in financial contract analysis, I can listen to that person. I cannot listen to members of parliament. But what I can say is, for me as an ordinary person, I go to that contract and look what were the promises that Umeme made.
Yes, and you have told us.
And I have told you on each and every single promise, how Umeme has overperformed. Now let me list for you the following things. Umeme's performance. A, it has saved Ugandan electricity consumer approximately 800 billion as a result of reducing revenue collection losses. 800 billion. By reducing the losses from 40% to 24%.
Yes.
800 billion. Maurice, that's a lot of money. Have you ever seen it? Let me read for you another thing. Right now, it serves 513,000 customers, up from 292,000. They have almost doubled the total number of subscribers. 3, they have paid 2,000 billion, that is 2 trillion billion shillings. 2 trillion shillings, yes. Yeah, 2 trillion shillings, 2,000 billion to Uganda Electricity Transmission Company through the cost of buying electricity. 3, they have generated 125 billion in direct taxes and 99 billion in indirect taxes to the government of Uganda. The one the MPs want, which was called UDCL, go and find out how much were they paying in taxes. I have told these guys have contributed 125. 3, because this is from the auditor accounts which are open to the public. They directly employ 2,000 people. They have made payments of 194 billion to Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited for renting that Marband distribution network. They have paid them 194 billion. They have spent 278 billion through wages, staff costs, and dividends. 3, they have invested $160 million in electricity distribution network. 4, in the next 4 years, they are planning to invest $400 million in that same network.
Any other
Let me ask you, Maurice,
in the industry is that the same thing? any other investor who actually, one, had a contract with the government that says you have to meet ABCD as your agreement, would still do the same. What you're actually telling us is that they have actually met part of their agreement.
Do you really believe that argument? That every investor would?
We are, however, saying any investor who has actually has a contract, a good contract with the government that holds him to account would actually have probably met the same. However, we are saying the point and bone of contention, like we said yesterday, is the amount of money Umeme gets to walk away with just in case government terminates that contract. And also, if they
so
on their own,
Morris, the government of Uganda, tell the government of Uganda, please, once you have signed a contract, don't terminate it.
Let me just read this for you, and it's in one of our dailies today that says the Minister of Energy was reportedly put on task to explain why the ministry signed the contract without scrutinizing a number of issues that the MPs are now raising in the report.
But because you see, Morris, we are discussing residual things. Because for me, I want to discuss the real beef. They are now discussing a fear. Why don't they discuss the reality? Government of Uganda between 2005, please hold a second, yes. Morris, please. Between 2005 to 2010, government of Uganda violated clause after clause of its contract with Umeme. Every single week they were violating this contract. You can go and ask everybody, they will tell you. Not once did Umeme say they were leaving and they should be compensated. So even if the contract was lopsided in the favor of Umeme, the investor has proven that he's reliable and is willing to stay in Uganda in spite of government of Uganda's violations. In other words, he's not willing to exploit the loopholes in the contract for his benefit. Two, if you sign a contract, please honor it. The members of parliament do not understand that when you enter a contract as a country, the next day, politically, you withdraw from it. You are telling so many other investors that no one can trust your word. If you sign a bad contract, live with it. But to say that you're going to cancel the contract now because of an unlikely risk that they can pull out when the investor has not demonstrated, if Umeme is planning to pull out, why would you begin investing $404 million? $400 million, that's 1 trillion shillings.
Finally,
yes. When your plan is to pull out.
Yes,
why?
finally, Andrew.
Please answer that question, Morris.
I understand. Andrew, let's go to, finally, I just want to discuss something.
And Morris, let me tell you the final one.
Yeah.
You see, me have come here with facts.
Yes.
Please watch them respond to Mwenda. Mwenda has been bribed. Mwenda has been done. You see, they can never respond to the issues I am raising. I don't know.
The regulatory authority report said that the power distributor, Umeme, was actually exaggerating the losses to be compensated. And you say they've brought it down to 24%. However, that could be less. And maybe the compensation is the issue.
So the power regulator actually
exaggerated losses.
Listen to this. If the power regulator, if Umeme is saying for this year, the power losses are 24%.
Make us understand. They have to be compensated for that loss, right?
Who should pay for the losses? You want Umeme to suffer those losses? Of course, you, the consumer, has to pay for those losses.
Andrew, we have to end this discussion.
It is obvious.
We have overrun our time, Andrew, and we will continue this discussion another time when we actually get feedback from the subcommittee that has been tasked to come up with a report on the way forward. And that was NewsNight.